this meeting of the Franklin Municipal Planning Commission for March the 27th, 2025. We'll start with roll call. A little bit of a different list. Commissioner Harrison,
Present.
Commissioner Allen,
Present.
Commissioner Franks,
Present.
Commissioner Lindsay's present, Commissioner Orr,
Present.
Commissioner Mann,
Here.
Commissioner McLemore,
Present.
Commissioner Williamson,
Present.
and Alderman Peterson.
Here.
We have a full house tonight. Okay. This is a time for citizen comments. This is open for citizens to be heard on any issue or concern. If you would like to speak on a specific item on the agenda, we ask you to wait until the citizen comment period for that agenda item is called. And I'll announce that, that citizen comment period when those agenda items come up. So anyone else that wishes to make a citizen comment, if you'd fill out a citizen card, I've got several cards already. They're on the back table, and hand them to our staff. They'll get them to me. And then when it's your time, you can come up to the microphone and state your name and address and limit your comment to 2 minutes. So, are there any citizens who wish to speak to the commission at this time? Seeing none. The next item is for approval of our minutes. Consideration of approval of the February 27th, 2025 Franklin Municipal Planning Commission minutes. Is there a motion?
Move for approval.
Second.
Wait a minute. Who made the motion? Alderman Peterson.
Second.
And second. Is there any discussion or changes, corrections to the minutes? Do we have a motion by by Alderman Peterson, seconded by Commissioner Orr? By roll call vote, Commissioner Harrison,
Excuse me, I abstain.
abstain? Okay. Commissioner Allen,
Aye.
Commissioner Franks? Commissioner Lindsay votes aye. Commissioner Orr?
Aye.
Commissioner Mann?
Yes.
Commissioner McLemore?
Aye.
Commissioner Williamson?
Aye.
And Alderman Peterson?
Yes.
That motion passes. Are there any announcements from staff?
Yes, just one quick announcement. As you've already experienced, we have reordered your voting order just to help with the microphone setup mainly. So thank you for letting us do that. And then I just wanted to give a reminder, if when you're ready to speak, if you could ask the chair to be recognized, it really helps me to turn on your microphone before you get started. So I'd really appreciate it. Thank y'all.
Okay. Thank you, Emily. Item 2 is consideration for approval of the consent agenda. Consent agenda consists of items 3 through 12, item 20, and item 23 on the consent agenda. Does anyone wish to pull an item off of consent? This is items that will be handled in one motion. They will not be discussed individually. So anyone wish to pull an item off of consent? Seeing none, is there a motion for approval of consent?
Move for approval.
Second.
Second by Scott. Okay, we have a motion for approval of the consent agenda by Commissioner Allen, seconded by Commissioner Harrison. By roll call vote, Commissioner Harrison,
Aye.
Commissioner Allen,
Aye.
Commissioner Franks,
Aye.
Commissioner Lindsay votes aye, Commissioner Orr,
Aye.
Commissioner Mann,
Yes.
Commissioner McLemore,
Aye.
Commissioner Williamson,
Aye.
and Alderman Peterson.
Yes.
That motion passes unanimously. So So that leads us to item number 13. This is a bit of an unusual one because the first 4 items that we'll cover tonight are all for the same project, 13 through 16. The first, consideration of resolution 2025-12, a resolution adopting a plan of services for the annexation of 4356 South Carruthers Road by the city of Franklin, Tennessee. We'll start with staff presentation.
Thank you. The applicant is requesting a plan of services for a property located at 4356 South Carruthers Road. Resolution 2025-12 is a City of Franklin drafted plan of services for a property being considered as part of the proposed request for annexation, which is Resolution 2025-11. The property is located within the Millcrofton service area. Water availability will be approved and provided through Millcrofton prior to annexation. The property is located within the Goose Creek Basin service area. This basin is identified as a short-term annexation capability area due to its proximity to existing city limits, future land uses, and existing and planned investments in infrastructure. The draft plan of services details no major concerns in providing infrastructure and services to the property. All access points shall comply with the City of Franklin's transportation and street technical standards, and no additional personnel or equipment will be necessary for either fire or police protection, but the Sanitation and Environmental Services Department requires additional personnel and equipment to serve the annexation in the near future as this area is experiencing rapid growth. The plan of services and annexation requests include one parcel. However, the rezoning and development plan includes an existing PUD, Coletta Park, which is already within the city limits. Staff recommends that the Planning Commission recommend to the Board of Mayor and Aldermen to approve Resolution 2025-12.
Thank you. Okay, does anyone from the public wish to speak to this item? Seeing none, is someone here representing the applicant?
Hi, I'm Matt Huff with Gamble Design Collaborative. We understand there are 4 items here, but we think it probably makes sense for us to go ahead and just give you our presentation on the front end so you have the whole picture as you go through the 4 of them.
Yeah, just be prepared to give kind of a brief, if I need you to, on,
Sure.
on each of the 4 individually. So go ahead.
Okay. I wanted to briefly run through a few items of note regarding to the development plan revision. First, I want to point out that this area to the north, although, do I have a clicker? Can I?
On your clicker.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Give me just a second.
Thank you, Chelsea. Also, thank you to my assistant. Okay, thank you. So first I want to point out that this area to the north is remaining unchanged. So on the right side, you'll see kind of the grayed out area. It's remaining unchanged. This plan has a minimum 80-foot existing tree buffer with large lots along the entire western edge of the property. It has similar lot widths in areas along Cross Creek Drive. This was a commitment made in the Cross Creek residents with the original development plan and remains intact with this revision. Also part of the original approval was the Williamson County Highway Commission's decision to approve only emergency access to Northern Connections, Stanford Drive, and a 12-foot pedestrian path for emergency access to Beacon Drive on the eastern side. With this decision, a special condition was placed on the original approval, which is on the sheet of paper in front of you. It reads as follows. Coletta Park's northern connection to Stanford Drive is limited to emergency connection only. Coletta Park has a full access off of Carruthers Road and will participate in improving Carruthers Road to a 3-lane collector. Due to the limited roadway connections, the development will be restricted to a maximum of 138 platted lots prior to the development plan or preliminary plat approval of a second access to Carruthers Road. The addition of this 5-acre property between the southern end of Coletta and Carruthers Road provides that second point of access as required by this special condition. Next slide. The southern end of Coletta Park, where the new connection is located, has been revised in alignment with the underlying mixed residential policy of Envision Franklin. Since the original approval, this area has continued to develop under the policy at a higher density than the single-family residential policy to the north. Given its location, the redesign of the southern end of Coletta at a density of 3.33 units per acre makes it part of a more gradual transition of densities from 0.84 units per acre at the north end of Coletta to 4.59 units per acre at Simmons Ridge. Next slide. On the top side of this image, slightly grayed back in this view, you can see where Section 1 is, which is currently under construction. Section 1 was the primary connection to Carruthers Road, has the primary connection to Carruthers Road, and as you enter the site in this direction, you would first see the amenity center and clubhouse near the top of the hill in the open space off to your right. Moving from there to the east, you start to get into the revised area that we've been talking about. In all, this revision increases the size of Coletta Park to about 204.8 acres and a new total unit count of 259 homes. It provides a second point of access to Carruthers Road as required by the special condition, and it aligns with existing Envision Franklin policy. Thank you for your time. Happy to answer any questions.
Okay, thank you. Is there a motion on this item?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Okay. I need a motion to recommend to the Board of Mayor and Aldermen to approve the resolution. Is that
Motion
your
to
motion?
recommend to the Board of Mayor and Aldermen.
Still second.
And Scott?
Yes.
So we have a motion to recommend approval to the Board of Mayor and Aldermen by Commissioner Franks, seconded by Commissioner Harrison. Is there any discussion on this item? Seeing none, by roll call, Commissioner Harrison,
Aye.
Commissioner Allen,
Aye.
Commissioner Franks,
Aye.
Commissioner Lindsay votes aye, Commissioner Orr,
Aye.
Commissioner Mann,
Yes.
Commissioner McLemore,
Aye.
Commissioner Williamson,
Aye.
and Alderman Peterson.
Yes.
The motion passes. Item number 14 is the consideration of Resolution 2025-11, a resolution to annex one property consisting of 5.86 acres located at 4356 South Carruthers Road and adjoining the city limits within the eastern part of the Franklin urban growth boundary. Staff presentation on this item?
Thank you. The property being considered for annexation is located east of South Carruthers Road and south of Murfreesboro Road. It is contiguous to the city limits and within the eastern limits of the city's urban growth boundary. The subject properties requesting annexation are within the mixed residential design concept as defined by the Envision Franklin Land Use Plan. It is the intention of the applicant to develop the property into townhome residential lots, and a rezoning and development plan for the subject property are also included on this agenda. Staff recommends that the Planning Commission recommend to the Board of Mayor and Aldermen to approve Resolution 2025-11.
Okay, thank you. Does anyone, let's see, this is item number 14. So Janet Curtis, are you ready to speak on this item?
Janet Curtis, 3665 North Chapel Road, Franklin, and thank you for the opportunity to speak. I don't usually do this, so I'm not really prepared for tonight, but as a county resident, I am speaking on this project because I am tired of my taxes going up. The city is annexing property, and these children are going to county schools. Creekside Elementary and Trinity Elementary are already at 91% occupancy. We don't have room. Page Middle is at 94 capacity, and Page High School is at 74% capacity. I don't know where these kids are going to have seats to go to school. We have Poplar Farms going up. That's 550 homes. Needless to say that the city itself has said that probably two of the worst intersections they have. One at 96 and Royal Oaks is their top priority, is the worst intersection, and 96 and 65 is just as bad. And yet you're putting an additional 60 homes on 5 acres of property in an area that the traffic can't handle it. So I think you need to step back, you need to look at the infrastructure, see what is going to be affected by these homes before you approve these types of these projects. And as a county resident, I don't want to have to absorb the cost of it. So let's take a step back and slow down and see what is going to be affected by this. Thank you.
Great, thank you. And Susan Kaplan?
Hi, my name is Susan Kaplan, and I reside at the north end of the development, Collada Park, on Beacon Hill Drive, and spent many years following this development. And my general question is, what is the timeline of all of this? Because we've been told certain timelines, and now we have a lot of activity going on adjacent to the gas line. We're on one side, and the north part of Collada Park is, we have bulldozers and everything 24/7. I understand development has to take place, but it's very, very disruptive to our neighborhood, noise-wise, dirt-wise, and we haven't been given a timeline. We were told probably breaking ground 18 months to 3 years' time, and that was just a few months ago, and now it's full speed ahead. So I would like to know where I can find out what is the timeline for breaking ground on each aspect of this development.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you. Anyone else from the public wish to speak to this item? Okay, seeing none. The applicant, do you have anything further to?
I'm not sure that I can speak to the timeline right now, but I'm here to answer any questions from you all, and we can get with her afterward to help her understand the timeline a little bit
Okay.
better. Thank you.
Is there a motion on this item?
Approval to recommend to the Board of Mayor and Aldermen for approval.
Who was that?
Second.
Second, Commissioner McLemore. Okay, I have a proper motion to recommend approval to the Board of Mayor and Aldermen by Commissioner Harrison, seconded by Commissioner McLemore. Is there any discussion on this item?
Chairman
Yes.
Lindsay, I would like to address, and I want staff to weigh in on this, those two intersections, and I have been thinking about this, the amount of traffic in this area and where staff and I know we've looked at this, with the amount of traffic that is in this area and those intersections, but not just those intersections, but this area in general. When we think about planning and we think about putting this amount of homes and people in this area, looking at let's specifically, I'll quit being so general, but 96 and Royal Oaks, okay? What is that now? Is that a D, F? What grade is that as far as traffic settings?
I don't have that in front of me. That intersection was outside of the study area for this traffic impact analysis, but it's probably at a failed level of service or close to it.
Okay, we're closer to it. 96 and the interstate there. Do we know? I'm just looking at the impact, because we do have to consider that, in my opinion, when we're looking at this area and the traffic even farther out, closer to it. I'm just concerned because this is just in addition to some others. So I'm just thinking when we look at that, I'm just concerned.
Absolutely, and we've been pressing TDOT quite frequently to allow us to do some improvements on this corridor. And if you recall, at the Joint Conceptual Workshop, we had a pretty different opinion about this project.
Yes.
And what we had them do was a little bit more intensive modeling of this corridor to show us what improvements could be done from a restriping perspective. And so we are able to provide 4 eastbound through lanes 3 eastbound through lanes and 4 westbound lanes just by restriping the roadway. And just an example, and I'm going to talk overall travel time through this corridor. The PM travel time without that improvement would be around 1,800 seconds. After that improvement, we'd be down to 600 seconds. So it's a significant improvement. And what TDOT required was that model study.
Okay.
We had them do that. We plan to move forward with the restriping plan when we put the median in on the west side of I-65. So there's significant improvements to come simply from restriping, and that'll be coming this year is when we plan to do that.
I appreciate that. Thanks.
Just as a follow-up, is the restriping, does that fall then to the city of Franklin?
Correct.
Or is that a TDOT?
We're going to do it with our on-call consultant. TDOT just needed the proof that it was going to help, and we provided that.
Okay, great, thank you. Yes, Jennifer.
Is there a timeline on the restriping?
Latest I heard, we were going to shoot for this summer to try to do the median and the striping, so it's imminent.
Okay.
Hope Paul hears that. He'll get it done.
Okay, other comments, questions? So we have a proper motion to recommend approval to BOMA. By roll call, Commissioner Harrison,
Aye.
Commissioner Allen,
Aye.
Commissioner Franks,
Aye.
Commissioner Lindsay votes aye, Commissioner Orr,
Aye.
Commissioner Mann,
Yes.
Commissioner McLemore,
Aye.
Commissioner Williamson,
Aye.
and Alderman Peterson.
Yes.
That motion passes. Item number 15, consideration of ordinance 2025-03. This is an ordinance to rezone 204.86 acres from planned PD 1.0 district to planned PD 1.26 district for the property located south of Murfreesboro Road and east of South Carruthers Road, including 4356 South Carruthers Road, this being the Coletta Park PUD subdivision. I'll turn it over to staff for presentation.
Thank you. The applicant is requesting a zone change from planned PD 1 district to planned PD 1.26 district. A separate resolution 2025-13 accompanies this rezoning for their corresponding development plan. Envision Franklin recommends the single-family residential design concept for the majority of the project within the city limits, and a smaller portion of the existing development plan, along with the proposed annexed parcel of 4356 South Carruthers Road, recommends the mixed residential design concept. Envision Franklin's single-family residential design concept states that the single-family residential design concept consists of single-family residential neighborhoods which provide a range of single-family dwelling and lot sizes. The plan as proposed incorporates the recommendations and guiding principles of the single-family residential design concept by providing 5 different lot sizes within the plan to provide the range of single-family homes as suggested within Envision Franklin. The newly added parcel lies within the mixed residential design concept, which states that this design concept contains residential neighborhoods with a combination of single-family dwellings, duplexes, multiplexes, and townhomes. The defined character across this design concept may vary by neighborhood, but new development should transition from existing development patterns in adjacent neighborhoods. The plan is proposing townhomes on this parcel to add to the existing single-family development. They're achieving a transition by providing open spaces between the newly proposed townhomes and the adjacent neighborhoods. Coletta Park PUD is currently approved with 199 single-family lots on 199 acres. The proposed revision amounts to 204.89 acres with 232 single-family lots and 27 townhome units. The accompanying development plan, along with the proposed rezoning, meets the intent of Envision Franklin. Staff recommends that the Planning Commission recommend to the Board of Mayor and Aldermen to approve Ordinance 2025-03.
Thank you. Does anyone from the public wish to speak to this item? Seeing none, is there, the applicant, do you have anything further?
Nothing further, but Matt Huff, Gamble Design Collaborative, happy to answer questions.
Okay. Is there a motion on this item?
Move for recommendations to the Board of Mayor and Alderman for approval.
Second.
Okay, thank you. Is there any discussion or anyone have any comments or questions on this item? Seeing none, we have a proper motion to recommend approval to the Board of Mayor and Aldermen by Commissioner Harrison, seconded by Commissioner Orr. By roll call vote, Commissioner Harrison,
Aye.
Commissioner Allen,
Aye.
Commissioner Franks.
Aye.
Commissioner Lindsay votes aye. Commissioner Orr,
Aye.
Commissioner Mann,
Yes.
Commissioner McLemore,
Aye.
Commissioner Williamson,
Aye.
and Alderman Peterson.
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously. Item number 16, consideration of resolution 2025-13, a resolution approving a revised development plan for Coletta Park PUD subdivision for the property located south of Murfreesboro Road and east of South Carruthers Road, including 4356 South Carruthers Road. Staff presentation.
Thank you. Coletta Park PUD is currently approved, as stated with the rezoning, with 199 single-family lots on 199 acres. The proposed revision amounts to 204.89 acres with 232 single-family lots and 27 townhome units. The proposed revision is to add a parcel along South Carruthers. This parcel is the subject of the associated annexation and plan of service. The applicant has proposed a subdivision of single-family residential homes of varying lot sizes, as well as townhome units. The applicant is exceeding the proposed open space and tree save calculations on the plan. As stated in the rezoning staff report, the accompanying rezoning, along with the proposed development plan, meets the intent of Envision Franklin. As some back information on vesting, I wanted to provide you. Coletta Park PUD was approved on December 12, 2017, with 2 modifications of standards. That included the SWCO 3 standards and cul-de-sac length. The applicant requested a vesting extension in 2021, which was granted, and then again in 2023, which was again granted. The development plan is not requesting to establish new vesting, but requesting to keep their current vesting for the entirety of the development, including the addition of 4356 South Carruthers Road. Staff recommends that the Planning Commission recommend to the Board of Mayor and Aldermen to approve Resolution 2025-13 with conditions.
With conditions. Okay, thank you. Okay, I've got one speaker card on this item, Rick Holmes.
Hello, I'm Rick Combs. I live at 504 Biltmore Court with my wife Lisa in the Cross Creek neighborhood. Wasn't sure on these items 13 through 16, but my general comments, and it's been brought up a little bit, is the traffic, number one, and the quality of life in Franklin, just trying to get around town. It seems like we look at these individually as opposed to the cumulative effect. So if you looked at everything that's been approved in the last 5 years that's currently not done, you've got that effect, plus we continue to add. And so our concern is gridlock. I've taken 15 minutes just to get out of our neighborhood across 65 and onto the freeway going south on a Wednesday evening. For instance, but several times sitting through lights already, I can't see that putting some lines on the road I think it's going to help, but I think you've got so much coming already. It's just going to add more density. It's just going to add more problems. So there's that aspect, and then the other aspect was water. We talked about Mill Crofton a little bit in 13, I think it was, but we already have some severe water restrictions. And how is Mill Crofton going to, again, take care of the developments that are coming up, plus adding additional developments and taking the current approved developments and then making them denser. So my concern is those are two aspects of quality of life. Probably could go into further things, but I think that probably covers my 2 minutes.
Okay,
Okay?
Thank you.
Thank you.
applicant?
Nothing more. Happy to answer any questions.
Okay, thank you. Is there a motion on this item?
Motion to approve with conditions.
Recommend to the Board of Mayor and Aldermen
Yes, sir. Recommended to the board, Mayor and Alderman.
with conditions.
With conditions.
Second.
Is there any discussion on this item? Yes.
I just want to address the traffic comments too. I mean, I had the same question Commissioner Allen had, but we had those answered. But I'm comfortable with this because we're adding 60 homes on top of what was already approved. If we were looking at this development all over again, I think I would have a much stronger opinion leaning towards we need to make some greater improvement before we can approve it. But here, one of the conditions to the approved development plan is that they will participate in improvements to Carruthers Road. So it's clear we have a developer here that's willing to help the city a little bit with some of the traffic conditions. So I think this one's worth adding to 60 homes. But I do share the concerns with some of these really large developments, and I think we will be taking a much closer look at them. Particularly if you listen to the session we just had with the development report coming up, there was a lot of concerns that were discussed about the prior year stacking without not having anything come out of the ground yet. So I think we will be taking a closer look at it. I know I will be.
Okay, thank you. Any other comments, questions? Seeing none, we have a proper motion recommending approval to the Board of Mayor and Aldermen with staff conditions by Commissioner Franks, seconded by Commissioner Orr. By roll call, Commissioner Harrison,
Aye.
Commissioner Allen,
Aye.
Commissioner Franks.
Aye.
Commissioner Lindsay votes aye. Commissioner Orr,
Aye.
Commissioner Mann,
Yes.
Commissioner McLemore,
Aye.
Commissioner Williamson,
Aye.
and Alderman Peterson.
Yes.
The motion passes. Thank you. Okay, item number 17. I think this item also covers two parts. Item 17 is consideration of ordinance 2025-05, an ordinance to rezone 0.89 acres from general office GO district to planned PD 6,900 district for the property located east of Jordan Road and north of Murfreesboro Road, located at 903 Murfreesboro Road, otherwise known as the Cook PUD subdivision. Turn it over to staff for presentation.
Thank you. The applicant has submitted a rezoning request for the .89 acres located east of Jordan Road and north of Murfreesboro Road at 903 Murfreesboro Road. The applicant is requesting to rezone from general office to Plan District PD 6900 to accommodate the proposed Cook PUD subdivision, which houses the nonprofit business Show Hope. The development shows an existing 6,900 square foot building of non-residential space, and there are no proposed changes to the site with the associated development plan, only a modification of standard for signage. The development is within the regional commerce design concept, and this design concept states that regional commerce should transition in intensity and scale across the design concept. Higher intensity uses should be located closer to I-65 interchanges and major thoroughfares, with less intensive uses transitioning to established residential areas. The existing development establishes the transition that Envision Franklin refers to between higher intensity uses and residential, meeting the guiding principles of the design concept of Envision Franklin for this area. Staff recommends that the Planning Commission recommend to the Board of Mayor and Aldermen to approve ordinance 2025-05.
Okay, thank you. I don't have a speaker card for this item. Anyone from the public wish to speak to this item? Seeing none, the applicant.
Hi, my name is Greg Gamble, and I'm representing the applicant tonight. This property is owned by Show Hope. Show Hope is a nonprofit with a focus on providing really kind of providing a foundation for families that adopt. This proposal tonight to rezone and create a development plan here is to cure a sign that they've put on the building. They have a halo sign, which is not permitted by our ordinance, unless it has a modification of standards. And so we're submitting a rezoning, we're submitting a development plan, and we're submitting a modification of standards for your consideration to allow them to keep their halo lit sign. The sign will be white, and it has a dimmer that can be turned down if it's too bright. So happy to answer any questions that you may have. Thank you.
Great, thank you. And of course, we will handle the development plan with the modifications of standards on our next item. So, is there a motion for this item?
Chairman Lindsay,
Wait a minute.
I move that we recommend approval to the Board of Mayor,
Okay.
of Mayor and Aldermen.
So we have a motion to recommend approval to BOMA by Commissioner Allen,
And I'll second that.
and a second by Commissioner McLemore. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none by roll call vote, Commissioner Harrison,
Aye.
Commissioner Allen,
Aye.
Commissioner Franks,
Aye.
Commissioner Lindsay votes aye, Commissioner Orr,
Aye.
Commissioner Mann,
Yes.
Commissioner McLemore,
Aye.
Commissioner Williamson,
Aye.
and Alderman Peterson.
Yes.
That motion passes. The next item is item number 18, consideration of resolution 2025-23, a resolution approving a development plan for Cook PUD subdivision with one modification of development standards for signs for the property east of Jordan Road and north of Murfreesboro Road, located at 903 Murfreesboro Road. Staff?
Thank you. The applicant has submitted a development plan for the Cook PUD subdivision, which includes one 6,900 square foot building that houses the nonprofit business Show Hope. The proposed development plan does not contemplate any changes to the existing structure or site. The applicant has requested a development plan and the associated rezoning to request a modification of standards to allow the existing halo sign. The existing development establishes the transition that Envision Franklin refers to between high-intensity uses and residential, meeting the guiding principles of the design concept of Envision Franklin for this area. In addition, the site exceeds the parking requirement and does not meet the minimum standards to require open space. There is one modification of standard request for this plan. The request is to allow halo lighting for a wall sign on the elevation of the existing building. Chapter 15.1.6 states that internal illumination of signs shall be limited to light emanating only through the letters, numbers, logos, and accent lines. The remainder of the sign shall not be illuminated and shall be opaque to prohibit light penetration, and the lighting source shall not flash, move, change color, be overly bright, or create a nuisance. The applicant is requesting to allow the existing halo sign to remain. Halo lighting has been requested in other developments and was approved by BOMA most recently with the Goose Creek Bypass PUD subdivision, or In-N-Out. Staff finds that halo signage with some regulations is generally appropriate in many areas of Franklin, and as such, staff is exploring a zoning ordinance amendment to permit and regulate halo signage. This topic is planned to be on an upcoming joint conceptual workshop agenda for discussion. Staff recommends approval of MOS number 1 to the Board of Mayor and Aldermen, and staff recommends that the Planning Commission recommend to the Board of Mayor and Aldermen to approve Resolution 2025-23 with conditions.
Okay, thank you. Anyone wishes to speak to this item? Seeing none. Greg?
Yes, hi, Greg Gamble. My client agrees with the staff conditions of approval and happy to answer any questions that you may have. Thank you.
Okay. Okay, so we will handle this as a two-part motion. I need to start with a main motion that reflects recommendation to the mayor and Board of Aldermen to approve the resolution.
I'd like to make a motion to recommend to the Board of Mayor and Aldermen for approval.
Okay. Is there a second? Second by Commissioner McLemore. Okay, so we have a main motion on the floor. I would like to address the modification of standards. Again, I'm looking for a recommend of approval to BOMA. Is there a motion on this item?
So moved.
We have a motion by Commissioner Allen,
Second.
second by Commissioner Harrison. And your so move is to recommend
It's to
approval.
recommend, yes, to recommend approval to BOMA, yes,
Okay.
of the modification standard number 1.
Okay, is there any discussion on that item? Seeing none by roll call, Commissioner Harrison,
Aye.
Commissioner Allen,
Aye.
Commissioner Franks.
Aye.
Commissioner Lindsay votes aye. Commissioner Orr.
Aye.
Commissioner Mann.
Yes.
Commissioner McLemore.
Aye.
Commissioner Williamson.
Aye.
And Alderman Peterson.
Yes.
That motion passes, so that's for the approval of modification of standards number 1. So we go back to our main motion on item 18. That's to recommend approval to the mayor and board of aldermen. And now we have an approved modification of standards. Is there any final discussion on this item? Seeing none, by roll call vote, Commissioner Harrison,
Aye.
Commissioner Allen,
Aye.
Commissioner Franks,
Aye.
Commissioner Lindsay votes aye. Commissioner Orr,
Aye.
Commissioner Mann,
Yes.
Commissioner McLemore,
Aye.
Commissioner Williamson,
Aye.
and Alderman Peterson.
Yes.
That motion passes with its modification of standards. Okay, item number 19 is consideration of resolution 2025-22, a resolution approving a revised development plan for Huffines Ridge PUD subdivision for the property located south of East McEwen Drive and west of Carruthers Parkway, located at 1343 Huffines Ridge Drive. I'll turn it over to staff presentation.
Thank you. The applicant has submitted a development plan for the Huffines Ridge PUD subdivision located at 1343 Huffines Ridge Drive. The applicant is proposing a reduction in the height of the commercial and office uses from a 6-story to a 3-story maximum. The proposed revision also includes a reduction of commercial square footage from 150,000 square feet to 47,000 square feet with the removal of hotel as a use. The development plan is vested in the July 1st, 2018 zoning ordinance. The proposed plan attempts to meet our ordinance today and exceeds the requirements of its vested ordinance. The multifamily portion of the plan has been completed, and a parking utilization study was submitted to provide support for a reduction in the overall parking requirements on the basis of the reduction in non-residential square footage, removal of a hotel, and the completed multifamily is able to meet their parking requirements independent of the non-residential development. Per Chapter 2.4.211B, this development plan only requires a Planning Commission level review and action. In addition, since the proposed changes are reductions to what was originally entitled, they do not need a rezoning. Staff recommends that the Planning Commission approve Huffines Ridge PUD subdivision revision 2 with conditions. Thank you.
Thank you. Does anyone from the public wish to speak to this item? Seeing none, does the applicant, let me get,
Hi, Jeff Rosiak from Gamble Design Collaborative. Find myself in the somewhat rare position of asking for a reduction in entitlements, but I'm just here to answer any questions that you may have.
okay, thank you. Is there a motion on this item?
For approval with staff conditions.
That's Commissioner McLemore. Okay, we have a proper motion for approval with staff conditions by Commissioner Harrison, seconded by Commissioner McLemore. Is there any further discussion or questions on this item? Seeing none, by roll call vote, Commissioner Harrison,
Aye.
Commissioner Allen,
Aye.
Commissioner Franks,
Aye.
Commissioner Lindsey votes aye, Commissioner Orr,
Aye.
Commissioner Mann,
Yes.
Commissioner McLemore,
Aye.
Commissioner Williamson,
Aye.
Alderman Peterson.
Yes.
The motion passes. Okay, item number 21, Franklin City Hall Site Plan. Developing 103,156 square feet of office space and 4,444 square feet of commercial space on 4.27 acres located at 109 3rd Avenue South. Staff presentation.
Thank you. The applicant has submitted a site plan for a new building located at 109 3rd Avenue South that will feature 103,156 square feet of office space and 4,444 square feet of commercial space. The plan also includes subterranean parking and a public park. The property is zoned downtown district and consists of a little bit over 4 acres. The new building will serve as the new Franklin City Hall and replace the former facility that we're all familiar with. The downtown district permits both civic and commercial uses. The property is within the historic preservation overlay, and the applicant has received a certificate of appropriateness from the Historic Zoning Commission for the design of the building. Staff recommends approval with conditions of the Franklin City Hall site plan. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone from the public wish to speak to this item? Seeing none. I assume the city is the applicant, right? Okay. The applicant.
We have consultants that may well say.
Okay. Please enlighten us.
I'm Anna Ruth Kimbrough. I'm representing the applicant for the project. The new City Hall is a significant reinvestment into the heart of historic downtown Franklin. The project scope expands well beyond the City Hall building itself. It includes a new 3-story City Hall on the square, enhanced meeting room spaces, several small commercial tenants along 3rd Avenue South, underground parking for about 200 cars, an enlarged plaza on the square, expanded and improved public restrooms to serve downtown, new handicap accessibility for the site, a new 1-acre public park on the corner of Church and 3rd Avenue South, streetscape improvements on both sides of 3rd Avenue South, and some much-needed infrastructure replacement and upgrades. We are thrilled to represent the City Hall site plan that meets the zoning ordinance, has received a certificate of appropriateness from the Historic Zoning Commission, and is ready for site plan approval tonight. The next step is the construction of a beautiful, functional civic building that completes the historic public square and it serves the community for generations to come. Thank you. Happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Is that all you can squeeze on 4 acres? Okay.
Did our best.
Okay, is there a motion on this item?
Move for approval with staff conditions.
Is there any discussion?
I just had one question. There was some discussion and some problems many years ago with the water level that's right below the ground level in here. And I wonder, because I tried to look back to see where that had been reviewed again, and I thought I had seen it somewhere, but then when I tried to go back and look for it, I couldn't find it. Anybody?
Can you address that? Okay.
So we had initial geotechnical studies done, and we're currently undergoing more geotechnical studies for water recharge rate. We're going to have under-slab drainage under the parking garage to alleviate any upheaval and any subsurface flooding issues. So it's part of the engineered design of the parking garage.
the bank building was built, and it used to have I guess a below ground floor, and then suddenly there started to be some water leakage there, and they had to close the bottom of that building. I mean, I can remember going to luncheons and dinners and things like that, and then suddenly they were no longer able to do that.
Yeah, the subslab drainage will help with upheaval, and then we have a redundant pump system. So if there ever was a flood event, we have one pump, and then if that pump fails, we have a redundant system. So we've over-designed it to accommodate that.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions, comments?
Where does the water go? If you pump it?
It goes to the storm system.
The drainage system, not the sewer?
And then we also, on the site, we have stormwater detention, and we also have a water collection cistern as an alternative water collection method.
Okay, that's good.
Other questions? Seeing none, by roll call, Commissioner Harrison,
Aye.
Commissioner Allen,
Aye.
Commissioner Franks,
Aye.
Commissioner Lindsey votes aye, Commissioner Orr,
Aye.
Commissioner Mann,
Yes.
Commissioner McLemore,
Aye.
Commissioner Williamson,
Aye.
Alderman Peterson.
Yes.
The motion passes. Item number 22, the Margin District Subdivision Site Plan, developing 25 residential units and 117,060 square feet of non-residential space on 2.02 acres located at 713, 717, 735, 805, 811, and 813 Columbia Avenue and 314 Cummins Street. Staff presentation.
Thank you. The applicant has submitted a site plan for a new development that consists of 6 buildings with 25 residential units and 117,060 square feet of non-residential space. The property consists of a little over 2 acres and is within the Central Commercial Zoning District. The property is also within the Columbia Avenue Overlay 1 Urban Commercial Development Subdistrict, also known as CAO1, and that extends from 5 Points to Folk Street. For new construction at this location, buildings may be up to 3 1/2 stories when the upper 1 1/2 story is stepped back at least 10 feet from the first and second stories. The upper half story may either have a pitched or flat roof. The plan as presented meets these height requirements. The work on this site generally meets city development standards, and staff have provided conditions of approval for where the project will need to make revisions prior to obtaining city approval for permitting purposes. Some of the required work will also be reviewed and approved through utility or grading specific plans approved by the engineering department that will not be reviewed by the planning commission, which will be required to be approved prior to major work in the surrounding area. Staff recommends approval of, with conditions, of the Margin District Subdivision Site Plan. Thank you.
Thank you. Does anyone from the public wish to speak to this item? Seeing none, is there someone here representing the applicant? Mr. Seeger?
Yes, thank you. Adam Sager. I'm with Dale and Associates. We're the civil engineer for the project. We also have the architect and a representative of the developer here if anyone does have any questions. We're really excited to bring this project forward for site plan approval. Staff has been awesome to work with. We'll continue to work with them, and we agree with staff's comments and the conditions of approval. We're here to answer any questions if y'all have any.
Okay, thank you. Okay, is there a motion on this item?
Move for approval with staff conditions.
Is that Mr. Harrison?
Yes. Second.
So we have a proper motion for approval with staff conditions by Commissioner Harrison, seconded by Commissioner Orr. Does anyone have any questions or statements to make on this item? By roll call vote, Commissioner Harrison.
Aye.
Commissioner Allen.
Aye.
Commissioner Franks.
Aye.
Commissioner Lindsay votes aye. Commissioner Orr?
Aye.
Commissioner Mann?
Yes.
Commissioner McLemore?
Aye.
Commissioner Williamson?
Aye.
And Alderman Peterson.
Yes.
The motion passes unanimously. Is there any other business before this board tonight? Seeing none, is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Is it Mr. Harrison? We have a motion to adjourn by Commissioner Harrison, a second by Commissioner Orr. By roll call, Commissioner Harrison,
Aye.
Commissioner Allen,
Aye.
Commissioner Franks,
Aye.
Commissioner Lindsay votes aye, Commissioner Orr,
Aye.
Commissioner Mann,
Yes.
Commissioner McLemore,
Aye.
Commissioner Williamson,
Aye.
and Alderman Peterson.
Yes.
We are adjourned.